What hides behind a wall of forest so thick that satellites cannot see through it? How does an entire people build a culture in a place no road has ever reached? And why does almost no one in the world know this place exists? This is Suriname, the smallest nation in South America and the most isolated. "93% of the country lies beneath one unbroken sheet of Amazon rainforest, the highest forest cover of any country on Earth. No highway crosses from the coast to the interior. The southern border has no road that reaches it at all. Behind that green wall, rivers run silver with mercury. A mosque and a synagogue share a single wall, with no fence between them. After dark, drums call the ancestors back to dance with the living. A whole world sealed off behind the trees, forced to forge its own laws just to survive. The green wall keeps Suriname from the world. Inside, the question is simpler. What is it hiding? Paramaribo's inner city earned a spot on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 2002. Not one stone building explains why. Nearly 300 protected structures stand here. Houses, churches, government halls. Almost all were raised from timber. The coastal clay along the Suriname River never gave up any usable stone. That single shortage pushed everyone building a life here toward the same solution. Hardwood hauled out of the interior forest. Colonists, laying out canals and streets on a Dutch grid, used that same hinterland timber. So did free black carpenters. So did immigrant tradesmen from India, China, and Java. A city meant to separate its people by law ended up built from one shared material. White painted planks repeat down street after street. So does a base course of red brick. Green wooden shutters and steep roofs shed the heavy rain. The design borrows a Dutch instinct for channeling wind. It suits a hot, wet climate the Netherlands never had. Walk 2 blocks and the language changes with the doorway. Shranantongo, the Creole tongue, born on the plantations, carries the market chatter. Dutch still runs the courts, the schools, and the government forms. Neither language replaced the other. Both survived, side by side. Every day, the same four people divide the trade of an entire city between them, and none of them can manage without the other three. Inside Paramaribo's central market, each community controls a different corner of the same economy. Central Market runs two full stories along the riverbank. The division of labor inside is almost geometric. Maroon women, descendants of Africans who fled slavery generations ago, hold the herb stalls, dried roots, bark, and the charms used in Winti ritual. Hindustani vendors, descended from indentured laborers brought from India, run the vegetable rows. They sell cassava, okra, and curry spice blends. Javanese cooks fry bami noodles, nasi rice, and skewered satay at open stalls. Chinese shopkeepers keep the dry goods counters stacked with rice sacks, canned fish, and household staples. No single stall could feed the market's own customers. A Hindustani cook needs the Chinese stall's dried shrimp. A Maroon healer's remedy calls for a root that only grows near a Javanese farmer's field. One group's shortage is always covered by another group's surplus. Saturday mornings bring the heaviest crowds, when boats still unload sacks straight onto the market floor. That arrangement did not grow out of any policy meant to promote harmony. It grew out of simple math. Four communities, thrown together on one coastline, discovered that separated trades created dependence rather than distance. A boycott of any one group would have starved the rest within a week. At a set of star-shaped walls above the riverbank, Fort Zelandia anchors every street grid, every shared wall, and every market stall traced so far on this coast. French colonists built the fort in 1640. The Dutch seized it in 1667 and renamed it Zelandia. Red brick shipped across the Atlantic forms its five-pointed outline. Cannon fire could sweep every angle of approach from the river. Below the ramparts, damp holding cells still sit, cut into the earth. They were the first stop for captives brought off slave ships before being sold inland. That function alone would mark Zelandia as the coldest site in the country. But the walls carry a second wound, more recent. On the nights of December 7th through 9th, 1982, 15 opposition figures were taken to Bastion Veer inside these same walls. Journalists and lawyers were among them. So were an academic and union leaders. The fort was then the headquarters of a military government under Desi Bouterse. All 15 were shot. The bullet scars on that interior wall have never been plastered over. A memorial was raised there in 2009. The fort holds 2 centuries of that same lesson. Every ethnic thread this country later wove into markets, mosques, and synagogues first passed through this single point. Fort Zelandia faces the open Atlantic, the same direction every colonial ship once arrived from. To understand what gave this coast any chance to answer that history differently, the only direction left to look is inland. It leads toward the Green Wall, covering 93% of everything behind it. No paved road has ever reached the interior of the Central Suriname Nature Reserve. At nearly 4 million acres, roughly 6,200 square miles, there may not be enough unprotected country left to build one through it. Conservation International and the Surinamese government created the reserve in 1998. They joined 3 separate wilderness blocks into a single unbroken tract: Valon, Tafelberg, and Islets de Haan. UNESCO named it a World Heritage Site 2 years later. The reserve alone covers about 11% of the entire nation. It rests on the ancient bedrock of the Guyana Shield. It guards the headwaters of the Coastline River. Suriname's highest point, Julianatop, rises about 4,035 feet within these same borders. Even that peak looks small against the canopy around it. Inside that canopy, trees climb nearly 200 feet before their crowns finally break into sunlight. They shelter an animal list that reads like a continent compressed into one forest. Jaguar, tapir, giant armadillo, giant river otter, 8 species of primate. "400 recorded bird species live here too. They include the harpy eagle, the Guianan cock of the rock, and flocks of scarlet macaw that cut across the canopy at dawn. Why has none of it ever been logged, mined, or cleared at scale? The reserve sits at the exact center of the unbroken green expanse that spans 93% of the nation. It sits too far from any coastal road for machinery to reach at a profit. It is too fiercely guarded by the rangers and scientists who fought to seal its 3 original blocks into one. Stand under that canopy, and the human eye runs out of scale to measure it by. This wilderness is so old and so uninterrupted that a single human lifetime registers as barely a flicker against it. Howler monkeys open the morning with a roar that carries for miles through the fog. Every visitor who has stood here describes the same sensation. Feeling suddenly and precisely small is common here. It is the way a nation of 500,000 people must once have felt, facing a wilderness large enough to swallow entire countries. Voltzberg lifts nearly 800 feet of bare granite straight out of the rainforest floor. Nothing has managed to grow across its summit in longer than anyone can measure. Voltzberg sits inside the reserve's Emma Range. It sits beside the same copper-name river system it has watched flow past for hundreds of millions of years. That is long before the forest around it existed in its current form. The rock is a dome of Precambrian granite. It is part of the same ancient Guyana shield bedrock that anchors the whole reserve. It stands exposed, the softer soil around it eroded away long ago. Climate and the forest changes with every few hundred feet of elevation. At the base, the canopy presses close and humid. It grows thick with the same trees that shelter jaguar and tapir below. Halfway up, the trees thin into stunted shrubs clinging to cracks in the rock. By the summit, only the toughest drought-resistant plants survive. They face sun and wind the forest floor never sees. Empires have risen and collapsed since this rock first broke the surface. Entire species have evolved and gone extinct in the forest around its base. Voltzberg has done nothing through any of it except sit exactly where it has always sat. That stillness offers something the forest noise and growth cannot, a fixed point to measure against. Anyone who climbs to the exposed summit looks back down at the green canopy. That view measures the scale of a single lifetime set against a rock that has outlasted every civilization near it. Beneath that same rock, a village of two Amerindian nations has spent generations proving that endurance does not have to mean standing still. It can also mean learning to move with the forest instead of against it. Two Amerindian nations once competed for the same hunting grounds. They now share a single village called Palumiu. It sits where the Palumiu and Tapanahoni rivers meet, in Suriname's southeastern interior. About 300 people live here. Trio and Wayana families fill the settlement, alongside a smaller number of Aparai. Palm thatch roofs mix with wooden stilt houses above the floodline. Men carve dugout canoes from single tree trunks. Women grind cassava root into flatbread over open fires. That same crop fed their ancestors long before outside contact reached this river. The village runs a school and a small health post. Both keep families from sending children downriver for care and schooling. Children study their own language and oral history. They also study Dutch, the language of a national government hundreds of miles away. Environmental workers are said to have trained village members to use handheld positioning devices and digital maps. Those tools mark boundaries their families have used for generations, but never recorded on paper. A village council still settles disputes the way Trio and Wayana elders always have. Testimony is weighed under a communal roof. Why would a village that survived without any of that equipment need it now? Outside loggers and miners tend to respect paper or ignore it entirely. A digital map carries weight in a government office that an oral claim, passed down through grandparents, does not. Downriver, past rapids no engine can safely cross, the forest sets its own boundary line instead, one that answers to nobody's map at all. Beyond the last bend of the Coastline River, below Valon, a continuous roar carries through the trees, long before any boat comes into view. The sound announces the falls minutes before the water itself appears. The falls break across a wide, stepped shelf of granite on the Coastline River. This is one of the 3 original wilderness blocks folded into the central Suriname Nature Reserve. Water piles up behind the rock steps and drops in a churn of white foam. That churn can flip a heavy boat in seconds. Only the narrow, shallow draft dugout canoes local boatmen call korjal can read the water closely enough to slip between the ledges without capsizing. That single barrier has done more to protect the forest behind it than any law on paper. Mining equipment and logging trucks both need deep, calm water. So do the barges that move them. Rally Valon offers none of that. The rapids simply refuse large-scale machinery passage the way a locked gate refuses the wrong key. Mist rises off the churn each morning, thick enough to blur the tree line just past the first bend. Fishermen time their crossing to the hour before that mist burns off, when the water reads clearest. Local guides read subtle changes in the water's color. That is how they know exactly where a hidden rock shelf waits just beneath the surface. The forest beyond this stretch of river has stayed close to what it was centuries ago. The reason is not that anyone declared it untouchable. The water itself set the terms of entry. Past Rally Valon, deeper into the interior, human ambition eventually finds a way through anyway. When it does not arrive looking for wonder. It arrives looking for gold. The same river that feeds families downstream is the one now being poisoned to pull gold from its banks. Alluvial mining has stripped this shoreline to raw red clay, and the water people cook with, bathe in, and drink flows straight past it. Alluvial gold mining drives the single biggest share of deforestation inside Suriname's forest belt, more than any road project or timber operation. High-pressure pumps blast entire riverbanks apart to loosen gold-bearing sediment. Maroon miners working the claims alongside Brazilian garimpeiros wade waist-deep into the churned water. So, they burn gold free from raw mercury amalgam over open flame. That burn releases a haze of mercury vapor that settles into the leaves, the soil, and the river itself. That mercury does not stay contained to the mining camp. It moves downstream as methylmercury, absorbed first by river fish. It concentrates further up the food chain into anyone who eats those fish regularly. Health workers who have tested hair and blood samples from mining families report mercury levels well above what doctors consider safe. Symptoms can take years to surface, long after any single mining season ends. By then, the same families have often moved on, chasing the next patch of exposed sediment upriver. Why would anyone poison the exact water supply their own children depend on? Poverty leaves few other paths to cash in this part of the country. The gold buyers who profit most from every gram extracted rarely set foot anywhere near the contaminated water themselves. The miners absorb the risk. The shadow economy behind them absorbs the profit. Camps like this one rarely appear on any official map. They shift position every few months as one stretch of riverbank gives out and workers move to the next. The men standing in that river are quietly poisoning the only water source their own families have left to drink. They are chasing flecks of gold that will fund another week of survival at the cost of their children's health. Fish that once fed entire riverside communities now carry a toxin. No one downstream can see it, taste it, or smell it before it builds up in their own bloodstream. Contaminate the river to survive today and depend on that same river to survive tomorrow. Nothing here has been allowed to rot or fall for over 60 years. Brokopondo Reservoir drowned an entire forest in the 1960s, and millions of dead trunks still stand bleached and bare above the water. The reservoir spans roughly 600 square miles. It was created when the Afobaka Dam rose across the Suriname River between 1961 and 1964. Its wall climbed to about 177 feet before the basin behind it filled completely by 1971. So, Suralco, a subsidiary of the American company Alcoa, financed the entire project. It needed the power to smelt aluminum on the coast. Local communities eventually received roughly 1/10 of the resulting profit. Filling that basin meant flooding land that had belonged to the Saramacca Maroon people. Their ancestors had won it by treaty 2 centuries earlier. Nearly 6,000 people, spread across 43 villages, were forced to relocate as the water rose. They left behind farmland, burial grounds, and homes held for generations. What the water could not carry away, it simply covered. The dead trees are what remain visible of that decision. Hardwood species that once sheltered wildlife died standing where the flood caught them. Acidic reservoir water kept their trunks from rotting at any normal pace. That silence carries the exact opposite message of the roaring rapids upstream. Raleigh Valon's water refused industry entry outright. Brokopondo's water absorbed an entire foreign industrial project and swallowed a homeland to do it. It marks what a specific group of its people were made to give up, not what a nation gained. The people forced out of these 43 villages did not disappear with them. Their descendants carried both grief and defiance further upriver, into territory where survival still runs on their own terms. Maroon nations, 3 separate peoples of formerly enslaved Africans, fought the Dutch colonial army to a standstill from deep inside this forest. They forced a European power to sign peace on their terms. The Nduka won that treaty in 1760. The Saramacca followed in 1762 and the Matawai in 1767. Each agreement recognized full freedom, land, and self-rule. All of that came roughly a century before slavery was formally abolished in 1863. Together, these communities became known as the Bushinengue, or Maroon nations. They were built and defended entirely within the same rainforest colonial forces once thought impassable. Their faith carried the same improvised survival instinct as their war. Winti blends African beliefs from 3 peoples, Akan, Fon, and Congo. Those traditions carry Yoruba influence too. It keeps no written scripture and no single fixed temple. Instead, it holds that rivers, trees, and animals each carry a spirit. Believers call that spirit Gado. Survival depends on asking its permission first. Warriors of that era believed their own spiritual specialists, the Obeah men, could brew protection strong enough to turn aside a colonial musket ball. Whether or not that belief held up under fire, it held up something else: the conviction that the forest itself had chosen a side. That conviction did not fade once freedom was won. It still fills a village a short walk from here. On certain nights, its people light a fire and let the drums call their ancestors home. On the upper Suriname River, no one drinks from water believed to be poisoned. Here, the river is treated less like a resource than a neighbor owed respect. Samaka villages line this stretch of water. This is the same Maroon nation whose ancestors won freedom by treaty in 1762. Their descendants were later displaced downstream by the Brokopondo Dam. Up here, the river still functions as the village's shared public space. Women wash brightly patterned clothing against the rocks at the water's edge. Men shape wooden paddles by hand along the bank. Children swim and shout across the current, the way children gather around open water anywhere. Before launching a new canoe or casting a net for the first time in a season, a village elder performs libation. A measure of rum goes directly into the river, asking permission from the water spirits and thanking them in advance. Elders say the ritual has never once been skipped, not even in years when the fish ran thin. That single habit marks the clearest contrast to the poisoned river system downstream, where miners burn mercury into the same water families still cook with. Here, no pump tears at the riverbank, and no metal byproduct settles into the current. The river gives fish, transport, and washing water. Whether or not a spirit actually receives that rum, the ritual enforces something measurable, a habit of restraint, passed down each time a canoe launches. Further downstream, past where this river meets the Atlantic, another stretch of coastline keeps its own version of that same balance. Land People Farm sits beside shoreline reserved for a creature returning from the ocean each year to lay its eggs. £1,100 of leatherback sea turtle drags herself out of the Atlantic surf onto Galibi's sand, her shell stretching past 5 feet. She comes ashore each year between February and June. A teenager from the Kalina Amerindian nation is often the first to spot her tracks, wider than a truck tire. Galibi is only one half of a coast that lives two very different lives. Close to 40% of the entire world's leatherback population comes ashore to nest along this stretch of Suriname and neighboring French Guiana. That makes Galibi one of the most concentrated nesting grounds left for the species anywhere. Kalina youths patrol these beaches through the night during nesting season. They guard freshly laid clutches of eggs against poachers who would otherwise dig them up and sell them before morning. A few hours west, the same coastline changes character entirely. Around New Nickerie, rice paddies stretch flat toward the horizon, worked mostly by Hindustani families whose ancestors came from India as indentured laborers generations ago. Sea dikes hold back the same Atlantic water the turtles nest beside. They keep salt out of paddies that grow much of the country's rice. What keeps one stretch of coast locked in protection while another runs on industrial agriculture? Kalina patrols keep Galibi's sand off-limits to development. Hindustani farmers keep Nickerie's fields productive without pushing the boundary further into turtle nesting grounds. That balance pairs ancient conservation on one side of the coast with modern agriculture on the other. One needs nesting sand, the other needs dry, protected fields behind a working dike. That balance is not guaranteed to hold forever. A different kind of pressure, larger than any turtle patrol or rice harvest, is now gathering a few dozen miles out. It sits past the edge of the continental shelf. Nothing about this coastline was ever supposed to work. A colonial power dropped several peoples onto the same narrow strip of land against a wall of forest too vast to cross. Enslaved Africans, indentured workers, Dutch settlers, Amerindian nations. Division was supposed to follow naturally. Instead, isolation did something else. It pushed a synagogue and a mosque onto the same block. 4 ethnic groups landed in a single market. No stall could survive alone. Rivers, trees, and ancestors all became allies instead of obstacles. That same forest still covers 93% of the country and still absorbs more carbon than it releases. Whether that forest keeps its shape now depends on choices made offshore, far past any beach where a turtle still comes ashore to nest. A nation built by people with nowhere else to go must now decide what its isolation was for. A wall that only kept the rest of the world out, or a forest worth keeping whole, whatever waits on the other side.